I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it, because I've been using it almost every day for about 2 years. Not every single day, but close enough that I feel like I know its habits, the little things it does well, and the stuff that can get slightly annoying over time. At a basic level, this is for someone who wants coffee without a lot of steps, but also wants the option to make a milk drink at home without pulling out a separate tool. If you mainly drink regular coffee, it works like a simple single-serve brewer. If you like lattes and cappuccinos, the frother is the reason you would pick this model instead of a more basic one. What makes it different for me is how often I actually use the frother. I thought it might be a novelty that I would stop using after a month, but it ended up becoming part of my routine. When I want something more than plain coffee, I can do it without changing my whole kitchen setup or learning a complicated process. On the counter, it has a clean, modern look. It is not tiny, but it does not sprawl out either. It sits in that typical coffee maker footprint where it feels reasonable in an average kitchen. The materials feel like what you would expect at this level. There is plastic, there are some glossy surfaces that will show fingerprints, and there is stainless steel on the frother cup. The frother cup is the part that feels the most solid in daily use, and it has held up well for me. Setup is straightforward. You rinse the parts, fill the water reservoir, run water through it, and then you are basically ready. The reservoir being removable matters in real life. I fill it at the sink, put it back, and I am done. I have owned machines where you have to awkwardly pour water in from the top with a cup and spill it down the side. This one is easier to live with. Daily use is simple, and it is the same pattern every time. I put a cup under the spout, insert the coffee pod, choose the cup size, and start it. The cup size options actually matter because it changes how strong the drink feels. I use the smaller size when I want it stronger, especially if I am making something with milk. I use the larger size when I just want a regular mug of coffee to sip while I work. The drip tray is one of those small details that I only notice when I need it. If I am using a short mug, it stays in place and catches drips. If I am using a taller travel cup, I can remove it and fit the cup underneath. I do not do that every day, but it is nice when I am heading out and I do not want to pour coffee from one cup into another. Now the frother. This is the part I had questions about before I bought it, and it is the part people ask me about when they see it. In practice, it is easy. I pour milk into the frother cup up to the line, I set it on the base, and I choose the mode depending on what I am making. I use the latte setting the most for a warm, creamy foam. I also use the cappuccino setting when I want a thicker foam. Cold froth is something I use in warmer months, usually with iced coffee. There is one practical thing to know that affects the flow of making a drink. You cannot run the frother at the exact same time as the coffee brewing. So the rhythm is more like brew the coffee, then froth the milk, then combine them. It adds a little waiting, especially if you're trying to move fast in the morning. I adjusted by doing small tasks while it runs, like cleaning the counter or getting my cup ready. It is not a huge issue, but it is part of what the machine is like in real life. Here is what making a latte looks like for me on a normal day. I put the pod in, choose a smaller cup size so the coffee is not too diluted by milk, and start brewing. While that is going, I measure milk into the frother cup. I prefer whole milk for texture, but I have used lower fat milk and it still froths, just not as creamy. Oat milk works too, but the foam can be less stable depending on the brand. After the coffee finishes, I start the frother, let it run, then pour the frothed milk into the coffee. If I feel like it, I add a little cinnamon. That is about as complicated as it gets. I also use this machine for hot water more than I expected. If I want tea or instant cocoa, I run a brew cycle without a pod. It is not the same as a dedicated kettle in terms of control, but it is convenient when I just want a quick cup without pulling out another appliance. Coffee quality is consistent, and consistency is what I care about most with a pod machine. I know what I am getting. It is not the same experience as grinding fresh beans and dialing in an espresso shot, and it is not trying to be. For what it is, I get a cup that tastes the way I expect, and it does it again the next day without me thinking about it. Noise is normal for this type of brewer. It is not silent. It is the kind of sound that will be noticeable in a quiet kitchen, but it is not so loud that it bothers me. The frother makes its own sound too, more of a steady mechanical whir. Nothing alarming, just something you hear. Cleaning is manageable, and that is part of why I have stuck with it. The drip tray comes out and rinses easily. The reservoir is easy to rinse. The frother cup is the main part you need to stay on top of. If you let milk sit in it, it gets unpleasant fast. I rinse it right after I use it, and I wash it properly later. When I do that, it stays in good shape and does not pick up smells. Long-term maintenance is mostly descaling. If you have hard water, you will need to do it more often. I can tell it is time when the flow feels slower, or the machine starts acting a little fussy. The process takes some time, but it is not hard. I do it when I am doing other chores at home. There are a few limitations worth saying out loud. If you want true espresso, this is not that. It can make a strong coffee, and you can use the shot option to add a little extra punch, but it is not producing espresso in the traditional way. Also, because the frother and brewer do not run together, it is not the fastest way to make a milk drink when you are in a rush. And like most plastic-heavy appliances, it can show wear if you are rough with it. Mine has held up fine, but I treat it like a countertop appliance, not a tool you toss around. Overall, I keep using it because it fits into real life. It is quick for regular coffee, and it gives me the option to make a latte-style drink without much effort. The removable water reservoir makes daily use easier. The cup sizing actually changes how the drink turns out, and the frother is simple enough that I do not avoid it. If you have been thinking about getting one because you want convenient coffee, and you also want milk drinks sometimes, I think this one does that job well. As long as you go in with realistic expectations about speed and about it not being a traditional espresso machine. If you have any questions about how it has held up for me after long-term use, leave a comment and I will try to help. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews and let me know what coffee setup you are using right now. Thank you for watching.